guys, welcome to episode 3 of Spoken Diaries. So for today's episode, I am going to share with you guys how life was for me growing up in a Mexican household as the only daughter, as the only girl. Maybe some of you out there can relate. Maybe some of you guys were the only daughters or are the only daughters in your family and you're growing up with pure guys. Maybe this could give you some type of hope. Maybe this can give you some type of comfort knowing that you weren't the only one. You aren't the only one. And yeah, guys, I just want to open up. Like I had said in previous videos, I just want to be a little more transparent, a little more open, and take this as a diary for myself and just talk about whatever I want to talk about. So for this episode, that is something I will be sharing with you guys. So let's get started. So for those of you that don't know, I am the only daughter in my family. I am the third child. I am the third of 4. And I have 2 older brothers and a younger brother. So I'm kind of in the middle. But yeah. So growing up and being the only daughter was not the easiest. It was very, very, very hard. I wish I could sit here and say I was the princess of the house. I mean, I kind of was, like, and this isn't to bash anybody or like talk bad or crap about my parents or anything like that. Like, it is what it is. It happened. It was what it was, and this is where we are now. But in no way, shape, or form am I doing this video to to offend anybody or disrespect anybody or like talk bad on anyone. But this was my experience. This is how life was for me. And yeah, so like I said, I was the third baby of the family, the third kid of the family. My 2 older brothers, so we're all kind of, the first 3, we're kind of like 4 years apart from each other. So it is my older brother, 4 years after him, or 4 years after is my other brother, and then like almost 4 years after him is me. And then with my youngest brother is like a 10-year gap between me and him. So for a long time, it was just us 3. And honestly, it was a little hard, a little difficult at the time. Like, now I am super grateful and I appreciate that I grew up how I did, because I love the way that I am. There's always room for improvement, obviously, but I truly love the person that I am, the woman that I am, the way I view and think of life. And I say that if it wouldn't have been for all of that, I probably would be somebody else. But yeah, like, whatever. So before I continue rambling on about something else, it was kind of hard. It was kind of hard growing up in a Mexican household, being the only woman, because I don't know why, but for some reason we are expected to do a little more. Even though my mom did kind of like show my brothers, or told my brothers like, hey, you guys have to clean and cook and all that stuff as well. But being a girl, I just felt like there was a little more pressure on me to like do, or it was more expected of me to do these kind of things. And it's funny because I've had a conversation with my mom recently, or in the recent years, and I did tell her that I felt like she was a little more harsh, or a little more, I guess you can say a little more harsh towards me than she was to my brothers. And I kind of like questioned her, or like asked her like, why was it that I felt her be a little more cold towards me, and she kind of babied my brothers a little more than she did to me. And she did tell me that because she seen that I was very like independent since I was little. Like, I would want to do all these things for myself, and I never really asked her for help or like all that stuff. So growing up, I guess she just felt, or she just seen like my independence and kind of felt, or like seen that I didn't need her as much. And she said that that's why she was a little more tougher, a little more rougher on me, because she said that she felt like I could handle more. So yeah, that's how it was. And like I said, I felt like I was expected to do a little extra more work around the house than my brothers were. And it's funny because come like teenage years or whatever, like they used to tell me that I was like lazy, or that I didn't really want to do anything and help around the house and stuff. But it was just for that same reason. Like, okay, dude, like calm down, chill, and don't expect all of this from just me, right? Like, there's three of us. I feel like we could all do something together. Like, it's not just all on me. But it wasn't just my mom pushing me to do all this, but my dad would tell her like, hey, you gotta teach her how to like be in the kitchen, how to this and that, whatever, right? So I remember I will never forget this time she had done un licuado. For those of you that don't know, like a banana smoothie. Había hecho un licuado con chocomil and like all that stuff, right? So a banana smoothie. And my brothers had like their own room. They shared a room and stuff, and I used to sleep where we lived. There wasn't enough rooms for me to sleep in a room or to have my own room, so I would kind of sleep like in the kitchen / living room. There was like a futon or like a pull-out, like a futon that we had, and I would just sleep there. That was like my room, I guess. And I remember I was watching TV right there and stuff. And well, obviously it was like it was the kitchen, the living area, and well, kind of all together. And that's where I was. And she was doing like licuado and everything. And I was like, oh, I got happy because I was like, oh, I'm gonna have some licuado and stuff. And my brothers were in the room. They were like, well, I don't know what they were doing, but they were in the room. And my mom tells me like, she made the licuado and everything. She poured some cups, and she's all like, oh, here, take the licuado to your brothers. And then I was like, okay, like, why can't they come and get it? Like, I told her, I just told her, I was like, how come they can't come and get it themselves? And she got mad, and she was like, I told you to go take them to your brothers. So I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I grabbed the cups, I took them to them, and then I came back, and they were like watching TV or like playing a video game or something. I don't really remember. But I came back thinking that my cup was gonna be poured and the licuado was finished. And I was like, what the heck? And I told her, ¿y el mío? Like, where's mine? And then she's all like, oh, well, it already finished, so you can make your own. And I'm like, what in the world? Like, are you kidding me? How come I didn't get none? Like, you know? And I've brought him back this story to her, and like I've told her, I was like, oh, and how come, like, why did you do that to me? Or like, what the heck? And she just said, well, because you had an attitude and you were very picky. And given, yes, I've always had an attitude, like I'm a smart mouth, like I always have something back to say. I'm not proud of that. I've worked on that for many years. I've learned to shut my mouth and just let everybody say whatever they want. But yeah, I remember like as a kid I did have like a smart mouth, and just, yeah, you know, I was very snappy. But that's what she told me, that's why she didn't make enough, or she didn't make licuado for me, because I was too picky on the way, I was like particular of the way I liked stuff. So she told me, well, if you want some, you can make yourself some, like make your own. And I'm like, what the heck? As a little girl, you know how that made me feel? Like, why do they freaking get to have their licuado made, and then I still have to take them and come back and make my own? Like, are you kidding me? I was like, what the heck? Like, I'm not their servant. I'm not freaking, a sirvienta, a cha-cha to freaking be like, you know? And I don't want to say that, like, well, as a kid, yes, me and my mom's relationship wasn't the greatest. I felt like maybe once I became a teenager, or like, yeah, like after I turned like 15, 16 and stuff, our relationship, or like our dynamic changed a little. And I felt like when our relationship shifted completely was after I moved out and I got married and everything. That's when I feel like our relationship shifted a lot. But growing up as a kid, like our relationship was not the greatest. My dad would say that because we would clash a lot because of our attitudes. And yeah, well, she says that, yeah, because I always had something back to say, or like a smart mouth and stuff. But I'm like, what the heck? Well, I'm not gonna let you freaking mistreat me, right? Not that they would like freaking do these horrible things or whatever, but I mean, I just felt at times neglected, or like mistreated. Like, for example, that story that I just shared with you guys, like, how do you think you would have felt, or like, how as a kid, how do you think that would make me feel, right? And it was just tough. Like, I also remember I didn't have anybody to play with, like my Barbies, or like, I've always loved accessorizing my Barbies, like brush their hair, change their clothes, and like just all that cute things, right? Like, I really liked doing that stuff. But obviously my brothers, they were over there playing with like cards, or like canicas, you know, playing marbles, or like the tazos and stuff. I forgot what they're called, like pods or something like that. Where it's like you stack them and then you throw them and then they flip or whatever. If you're a 90s baby or younger, then you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, los tazos. They used to play all that stuff. And I mean, as long as I was playing, shoot, I didn't care, right? But then sometimes they would like push me away, or they wouldn't let me play. And I know this happens with all like siblings and stuff, right? We fight, we argue, we have disagreements and everything. But sometimes I was just like, bro, why can't I freaking play? Like, just let me play, who cares? And then they would tell me like, oh, you're not a boy, like you're a girl, you need to go play with girls, or like go away, or like only boys are gonna play and stuff like that. And I'm like, hello, what the heck, I want to play too, like, are you kidding me? And yeah, so in that aspect it was a little tough, like it was a little hard, because I never really had anyone to play with. I mean, I had my girl cousins and stuff, but it's not like they were with me 24/7. It was just whenever we were allowed to like hang out and everything. And don't get me wrong, it has, like, being the only girl, it has its pros and cons. But just being like a little girl, a small little girl, growing, those years were like the toughest, because it's like you're figuring out yourself, like what you like, you're just developing, right? And it's just, I feel like at that time, at that moment, is when I needed more support, or like more guidance and everything. And I just felt very neglected, because I never really had anybody to like tell me right from wrong. Obviously, I mean, in life, yes, like my parents would like tell us, hey, don't do this and don't do that and stuff, you know. But just like kind of like a role model, or like just someone to be there for me, I guess, you know. And it was just tough, it was rough, because I felt like I couldn't speak to no one. Yeah, I felt like I just couldn't speak to no one about like my true feelings, or just whatever I felt. And it was just a very, very difficult for me, being the only girl in those first years of my life, because I just felt like I had no support from no one. I had nobody that truly loved me. And again, maybe it was just like I was just exaggerating, you know, but I'm a kid. Like, hello, I think we, as a kid, we just want to feel that nurture, that love, that care, you know. And I just always felt like I was a little thrown to the side, or just how they say, like the middle child syndrome. And yeah, I mean, as a young kid, like I do remember, well, yeah, my mom used to go shopping for me and like buying me all these cute things and like all that stuff. And obviously, once I got a little older, like, and I started seeing like finances, we were in the greatest place when it came to that. Like, we struggled and we did struggle a lot financially, so it was a little hard. And obviously, you're a girl, you know, going to school and everything, you see so many cute things, like other girls that like wear cute clothes and like this and that. And for many years, all I wore were like jeans and t-shirts. Like, that was my go-to thing. That was like my comfort. And not so much because that was my favorite stuff to wear, but it was just because I knew it was the cheapest, and well, we couldn't afford for me to dress the way that I wanted to dress. And again, just many insecurities that I had and all that stuff. Just, well, I was like, t-shirts and jeans is my go-to thing. Like, that's it. Like I said, it was hard for me, and maybe to other people, like, I wish I could sit here and tell you, oh, I had the fairy tale life. You know, when I tell people like, oh, I'm the only girl in my family, and everybody automatically assumes like, oh, you were the princess of the house, like, oh, te tenían bien chiqueada, and like stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, at times, but it was not always like that. Like, I wasn't always like, oh, la princesa, or like, yeah, they would tell me that and everything, but emotionally and mentally, that's not how I felt. Like I said, this is how life was for me. This is my perspective. To other people, maybe it's like, oh girl, like, you had nothing to complain about and this and that. But only I know what I lived. Only I know how it felt for me in those times, in those moments. And like I said, I just felt and like I said, this is not to bash on my parents. This isn't to talk crap. This isn't, I love them. I thank them for everything that they've done, for everything that they did. And I mean, they loved us the way that they knew how. It was worse for them growing up. So I'm grateful. I'm thankful that they tried their best, I guess. But I mean, yeah, that it was just very, very hard for me. And at some points I felt like they kind of relied on me for a lot of things. I remember we used to go to the market, and if you're Mexican, you know how it was growing up, and our parents didn't speak perfect English, or like they didn't speak English. They would make you do things for them. And then they would take out that card with like, oye, entonces ¿para qué vas a la escuela? Like, why do you go to school for? And I'm like, are you kidding me? We used to go to the market, and I was maybe like, I could barely reach the counter, and my dad was over here having me write like the checks for them to pay. And oh girl, I was sweating balls cause when we were in the line, because he would tell me, okay, you're gonna do the check for me, and you better not mess up, because if you mess up, then we're gonna have to cancel this check. And like, he kind of would make it seem like it would have been the end of the world if I had made a mistake, right? So I would get so nervous. And given Spanish was my first language, so I had to learn everything in English, and I'm not the greatest speller when it comes to English. Like, I kind of suck till this day. I still be needing help with the way I write. So yeah. And now that I think, I was like, oh my goodness, girl, what in the heck? Like, I remember one time I did mess up, like the way that I wrote when it came to writing the amount. I messed up, and then the lady's like, oh no, I can't take this or whatever. And then my dad got all mad and everything. He's like, y entonces ¿para qué vas a la escuela? And this and that. And it was embarrassing for me because hello, like, he's all regañándome, or like, well, yeah, he's regañándome in front of people and stuff. And I'm like, are you kidding? Like, this is freaking embarrassing. And if you don't like how I'm doing it, or if I'm doing it wrong, then why don't you do it yourself? Like, what the heck? And then, yeah, so my mom, like, took the check from my dad, and or like, yeah, my mom took the checkbook from my dad, and well, she did it herself. And I understand, like, I know he was just trying to do that so that way I could learn, so that way, like, I knew stuff. But I was a little kid. Like, are you kidding me? Now I'm grateful and thankful that, well, they were that hard, and like, I know what I know, right? But I mean, when you're a little, like, what the heck, that this isn't helping me. It's freaking making me feel bad, or like embarrassing me, right? But yeah, it was, now that I look at it, I can laugh and just like, what in the world, girl, what was happening? Like, are you kidding me? But yeah, it's crazy, it's wild. It was tough being the only girl in the family, and like I said, it had its pros and cons. And honestly, it helped me a lot being, or like, listening to their conversations and everything, because once I did get a little older, well, we've kind of always lived with other family members and stuff. It was never just us. So I've always had like cousins and like all this stuff around me, and it was always more males than females. So I would always hear their conversations and the way they would express themselves about girls, or like, well, yeah, how they would talk about girls and everything. And I'm like, are you kidding? These guys talk and say that stuff about girls? Like, I do not want to be talked about. And like, I was like, absolutely not, girl. Like, ain't nobody gonna be speaking about me like that. And if they are, I know it's not gonna be true. Like, if they want to be talking like that about me, go ahead. But at least in my heart, I'll know that it's not true, right? But so for that, like, I am grateful, because I got to hear some conversations that I'm like, what, you guys, why are you guys talking about girls like this? Like, are you kidding me? But so like that, I mean, I'm grateful, because that kept me from doing some stuff that I would probably regret later in life, or, you know, just, I don't know. But that was a con for me. And another one also is that it made me grow some tough skin. Like, I don't easily get offended, and I feel like I can joke around, like, I could take jokes and I can joke around. But I tend to shut up, or like, I tend not to say anything. Because a lot of people, when they meet me or whatever, they say like, oh, you're kind of quiet, or like whatever. But I'm just like, girl, because if I talk, I'm trying to offend nobody or like make anybody feel bad, right? Because like, I kind of just like observing people first. And if I see that you will not take it, or you're kind of a little on the, I see that you'll get offended, then I'll kind of watch what I say. And just, I'm like, okay, then I'm just going to keep quiet and do me, because I ain't trying to make nobody feel bad. But yeah, I mean, because of that, I feel like I grew tough skin, and I can like joke around, or like take jokes and stuff. And yeah, I mean, I do appreciate that my parents were a little tougher on me, because like I said, I feel I love the person that I am. Obviously there's room for improvement. I can be better and stuff, but I really love how I am, like the way that I think, the way that I view life, the way that I'm choosing to be for my kids, well, currently for my baby girl. And yeah, but yeah, guys, for me it was a little tough, a little difficult. It wasn't that fairy tale how people say that, or think that just because you're the only girl in your family, you're a chiquiada, or like they freaking, no, you know, to everyone has a a story. Life is different for all of us. And I mean, I wish I could have sat here and told you guys, oh yes, it was great. But no. I mean, it could have been worse, right? But it wasn't as easy as people make it seem or sound when they find out that I'm the only girl in my family. But if you can relate, if you are the only daughter in your family, or maybe I feel like if you were the oldest daughter as well, I feel like if you're in a Mexican household and you're the oldest daughter, like that pressure kind of gets to the oldest daughter. Like at one point I felt like I had to do that role. Obviously I was an older sister to my little brother, and I did have to take some older sibling responsibilities when it came to him. But I mean, I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below if you are the only daughter in your family, or if you relate to any of this. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for taking your time out of the day to listen to me, to listen to my life stories. I hope you subscribe and stay tuned, because I will be sharing a lot more about me. And like I said, I hope through this segment just to reach more people, you know, we can kind of, I guess, just be there for someone that didn't have anyone growing up like how I did. Or if you're currently going through these situations, or if this is your life currently, I'm just here to let you know you're not alone. You can reach out. I'm here for you, girl or guy, you know, whatever. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up. And like always, please remember to love yourself, be positive, and live free. See you guys in the next episode. Peace out. Thumbnail time. Okay, I think we're good.